Hello there, kiddos. How are you guys doing? I can't remember how many weeks it's been since I sent you a chapter, but goodness gracious me, I think it's a lot, a lot of weeks. So when we last um heard from these guys, they all went off to the land of take what you want. And they were looking for hens for their mum, and a couple of other bits and bats. So it's a land where you can just go in and take what you like. That sounds like quite a cool land, right? What would you guys get if you were able to go into a land of take what you want? I know I would get a plane ticket to come and see you guys. That's what I would get if I was able to go to the land of take what you want. I would go and find a plane ticket. Anyway, we're on chapter 19. It's called Moonface Gets Into a Fix. The children went over to the hens that Joe had seen. They were really lovely ones, but very peculiar colour, for their wings were a pale green and the rest of their feathers were buttercup yellow. They had funny high voices and were very friendly indeed, for they came to press themselves around the children's legs like cats do. Do you suppose Mother would like hens this colour? Asked Joe doubtfully. I don't see why not, said Beth. I think they're very pretty. The thing is, do they lay good eggs? Then one of the hens at once laid an egg. It was large and quite an ordinary colour, and Beth was very pleased. There you are, she said. If they lay eggs as big as this one, Mother will be very pleased. How many hens are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I wonder how we could take them all. Oh, they'll follow you, said Silky, just like my clock follows me. Tell them what you want and they will come. We want you to come with us, hens, said Joe at once, and the 7 winged birds came over to him and lined up in a row to follow the children. It was really very, very funny to watch. Well, that's our hens found, said Beth, very pleased. Now for the goat and the shovel. They wandered along looking at everything. It didn't matter what anyone wanted, they were sure to find it sooner or later. There were boats, there were all kinds of dogs, shopping baskets, rings, toys, work baskets, and even such small things as thimbles. It's the strangest land I ever saw, said Joe. We look pretty strange too, said Franny, giggling as she looked round and saw the 7 hens and the small clock padding along behind them. Oh, look, there's the dearest, prettiest white goat I ever saw. Let's take her. Sure enough, not far off was a lovely white nanny goat with soft brown eyes and really perky ears. She looked quite ordinary, but for 2 blue spots on her tail. Little white goat, come with us, cried Franny, and the goat trotted up at once. It took its place behind the hens, but didn't seem to like the clock, which bumped into it every now and again just to tease it. Don't do that, clock, said Silky. I hope your clock won't be a nuisance, said Beth. I don't like things acting silly. Now for the garden shovel. Joe suddenly saw a fine, strong shovel standing up against the fence with some other garden tools. What about this one, girls? This looks strong enough for Father, doesn't it? He took hold of it and jabbed it into the ground. It was just the right sort. Joe put it over his shoulder and the 4 of them grinned happily at each other. Well, we've got everything we want, said Joe. Come on, we'll go back to old Moonface and then we'll take some cakes to eat at home. So, followed by the 7 hens, the white goat, the clock, the 4 of them made their way back to where they had left Moonface. But he wasn't sitting where they had left him. He was pulling at a lovely rug which was hanging from a tree. It was perfectly round with a hole in the middle. Hello, hello, yelled Moonface as he saw them. Look what I've got, just what I've always wanted for my round tree room. A round rug with a hole in the middle where the slippery slip begins. Wonderful. But Moonface, you said you'd watched to see that the land of take what you want kept by the faraway tree. Didn't you do that? Silky asked anxiously. Where is the hole that leads down to the tree? Oh, it's somewhere over there, said Moonface, draping the rug around him and staggering off. Come on, we're sure to find it. But they didn't. It's gone, for the land of Take What You Want had moved from the faraway tree. Moonface, that's very bad of you, said Joe anxiously. You did promise. Moonface looked worried and pale. He hunted about for the hole, but there was no hole to be seen, and he began to shake with fright. I've got you all into a terrible fix, he said in a trembling voice. Here we are, stuck in the land where we have everything we want, and the only thing we want is to get away. Everyone was looking pretty upset. This is just such a bad situation, they all said. I feel cross with you, Moonface, said Joe in a stern voice. You said you'd keep guard and you didn't. I don't think you are much of a friend. And I am ashamed of you too, Moonface, said Silky, who had tears in her eyes. Well, we'll find somebody to help us, said Moonface gloomily, and they all set off, followed by their hens and their goat and the clock, which kept striking 4 o'clock, why nobody knew why. But now they found a very curious thing. There didn't seem to be anyone at all in the land of Take What You Want. All the gnomes and pixies and elves had all disappeared. They must have known that the land was going to move off, said Moonface with a groan. And they all slipped down the ladder in time. Oh, why did I leave it? Why did I leave it? They wandered all over the land, but it wasn't very large. It was slightly more crowded with animals than anywhere they'd ever seen before. I can't think of what to do, said Silky. It's true that there is everything we want here. We shan't starve either, but it's the sort of place we wouldn't want to live forever. They walked here and there, and suddenly they came to something they hadn't noticed before. It was a large, shining aeroplane. The kind that was open-topped so you could see all around when you sat inside. Wow, said Joe, his eyes gleaming. Look at that. How I wish I could fly an aeroplane. Can you fly one, Moonface? Moonface shook his head. Silky shook hers too. That's no good then, said Joe. With a sigh, I thought we might fly away from this land in the aeroplane. He climbed up into the aeroplane and had a really good look around. There were 5 handles up there. One had a label on that said up, the other had a label on that said down, the third had a label on that said straight on, and the 4th and 5th said to the right and to the left. Joe stared at the handles in excitement. I believe I can fly this plane, he said. I do believe I could. It looks quite easy. No, Joe, don't, said Beth. But Joe had pressed the handle of up, and before anyone could say another word, the shiny aeroplane had risen upwards with Joe, leaving the others staring open-mouthed on the ground below. Now Joe's gone, said Franny, bursting into tears. The aeroplane rose up, and it circled when Joe pressed the handle labelled to the right. It flew straight on when he pressed the 3rd handle, and it flew down when he pressed the down handle. It was just as easy as that. There's a picture of it as well. Look at this. Cool, eh? Joe neatly flew to the ground and landed not far away from the others. They rushed to him, shouting and laughing. Joe! Joe! Did you really fly it yourself? Well, you saw me, said Joe, beaming at everyone and feeling tremendously proud. It's quite easy. Get in, everyone, and we'll fly off. Maybe we'll come to somewhere that Moonface knows if we fly for long enough. They all got in. Beth packed the 7 squawking hens at the back and sat the white goat on her knee. The shovel went on the floor. The clock made a nuisance of itself because it wouldn't stay put, but kept climbing over everyone's feet to look out the window. Silky began to wish she hadn't bought it. Ready? Asked Joe, pressing the handle marked up, and up they went. What a lovely feeling this was. They really couldn't help feeling excited. Silky's clock got terribly excited too. It chimed 29 without stopping. I shan't wind you up tonight if you don't keep quiet, Silky said suddenly, and that finished the clock off. It lay down in a corner and didn't say another ding or another dong. Where are we off to, I wonder, said Beth, but nobody knew. And that, my lovelies, is the end of the chapter. So I'll get this sent off to you very shortly. It's Saturday afternoon. I hope you guys are well and having a nice weekend. It'll be Saturday evening for you guys now. And then I'll get back into sending more regular chapters again after a really busy last month. But love you loads and miss you loads, and send me some messages and tell me if you had a land of take what you want and you could take one thing from that land, what would you take? I'll speak to you soon. Bye guys.